Your brain is whispering for help, but if you don't listen now, it might one day scream, and by then, it could be too late. We often push through brain fog, ignore mood swings, and blame forgetfulness on stress or aging. But what if those signs are not normal? What if your brain is crying out for help every single day and you're just too busy to notice? Today, we're uncovering the 7 hidden signs that your brain is struggling silently and why ignoring them could cost you your clarity, focus, and future. If you've ever felt lost in your own mind, like you're here, but not really here, you're not alone. And you don't have to go through this journey blindfolded. This channel is your sanctuary for healing, understanding, and reclaiming the sharp, vibrant version of you. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every second you wait is a second your mind is slipping away. And you deserve better. Let's heal together. You sleep, but you never feel rested. The alarm clock rings, your eyes open, and yet it feels like you've barely closed them. Your body might move, but your mind drags like it's wading through fog. The simplest task, checking your phone, brushing your teeth, answering a message, feels like climbing a mountain. The weight is invisible but undeniable. And what's worse, you blame yourself. You say, maybe I'm just being lazy. Maybe I need more motivation. So you reach for coffee, energy drinks, maybe even supplements, hoping for a spark. But nothing lights the fire, because the truth is, this isn't laziness. This isn't just tiredness. This is mental fatigue, the kind your brain whispers about for weeks, sometimes years, until one day it starts to scream. Mental fatigue is often mistaken for general tiredness, but it goes deeper, so much deeper. It's a depletion of your brain's ability to function with clarity, focus, and emotional stability. You're not just sleepy, you're drained. Your concentration fades after minutes. You forget words mid-sentence. You reread the same paragraph 10 times, and it still doesn't stick. You feel disconnected from your surroundings, like the world is moving around you, but you're stuck in slow motion. And despite sleeping 7, 8, even 9 hours, nothing changes. Because your brain doesn't just need rest, it needs recovery. Let's be honest, our world is louder than ever. The constant barrage of notifications, screens, emails, worries, noise, news, fear. It's relentless. Your brain was never built to process this much input 24/7. Even when you're lying in bed, your mind might still be scrolling, reliving conversations, anticipating tomorrow's stress, battling intrusive thoughts, trying to stay productive. Sleep becomes a prison sentence instead of a healing ritual. You may lie down, but your brain doesn't lie still, and this overstimulation comes with a cost. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and focus, starts to dim. Cortisol levels stay elevated, keeping you in survival mode. That's why your thoughts feel frantic, your emotions more reactive, your patience shorter. Your brain is trying to protect you, but in doing so, it's sacrificing your mental clarity just to keep you afloat. But what about nourishment? That's the part most people overlook. Your brain needs fuel, not just calories, but micronutrients, healthy fats, hydration, and oxygen. Without them, your neurons can't fire properly. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin can't be synthesized in balance. The result? A brain that's trying to run a marathon on fumes. You might be eating, but are you feeding your mind? Let's go deeper. You ever notice how your thoughts get darker when you're tired? How your hope shrinks? That's not coincidence, it's chemistry. When your brain is exhausted, your emotional lens warps. You start to believe the worst about yourself and your life. You lose your sense of purpose. It becomes harder to connect with others, to feel joy, to dream. That's not weakness. That's your brain's emergency mode. And tragically, it's a mode many people stay trapped in for years without knowing what's really wrong. So what causes this burnout? Often it's a mix: chronic stress, lack of boundaries, poor nutrition, emotional trauma, unhealed grief, information overload. Sometimes it starts in childhood. Sometimes it builds up silently while you're chasing your goals. One day you're thriving, then suddenly you're surviving. But make no mistake, mental burnout is not the end of your story. It's a wake-up call, and here's the most powerful truth: your brain can heal, the fog can lift, the fire can return, but not by pushing harder, not by punishing yourself. It begins with listening to the whispers your mind has been sending all along, that sense of heaviness. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's your body saying, pause, breathe, rebuild. Recovery doesn't mean quitting your life. It means shifting how you live. It starts with one step: creating silence in your day. Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation. Maybe it's a walk without your phone. Maybe it's journaling your fears instead of swallowing them. These moments create space. And in that space, healing begins. Hydration matters. Whole foods matter. Gentle movement, meaningful sleep, real human connection, it all matters more than we give credit for. When you stop numbing and start nourishing, your brain responds, slowly, steadily. You'll begin to feel present again. Your thoughts will gain clarity. You'll remember what hope feels like, but most importantly, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the days you couldn't get out of bed, for the tasks left unfinished, for the mood swings, for the times you snapped at someone you love. None of that was failure, it was fatigue. And the fact that you're still here, still seeking answers, still fighting to feel better, that's strength. This message might be the one thing your soul needed today. Not another productivity hack, not another to-do list, just permission to rest, to repair, to be human. If your brain is begging for help, don't ignore it. Don't dismiss it, because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to hear that whisper, and the more damage it can quietly do. But the good news, you're here, you're aware. That alone is powerful. And now you can choose to give your brain what it's asking for. Not more work, more care, not more scrolling. More stillness, not more pressure, more presence. Let the world spin. Let the noise exist, but you reclaim your mind. You anchor your soul. You listen, you rest, and you rise, not just to survive, but to live with clarity, peace, and power again. Because you are not broken, you are not lost, you are simply tired. And tired things don't need fixing, they need healing. And healing begins now. You cry easily, sometimes over things that wouldn't have touched you before. A commercial, a memory, a quiet moment. Or maybe you don't cry at all instead. The tears feel locked somewhere deep behind your eyes, unreachable. Then suddenly, you're angry, frustrated, irritated by things that never used to bother you. The smallest sound, the wrong tone, a missed word, everything feels like too much. And just as quickly as it came, it's gone, replaced by numbness, as if something inside you just shut off. You feel like a stranger in your own skin, watching your reactions like someone else is living your life. People call it being emotional or moody, but there's something deeper going on. This isn't just a bad day. This isn't weakness. This is your brain crying for help. Emotional sensitivity and sudden mood swings are not personality flaws. They are signs, signals. Your brain is trying to tell you that it's out of rhythm, misaligned from the pressure of holding it all together. For too long, when your emotions start speaking louder than your logic, it's because something beneath the surface is no longer balanced. Your emotional responses are the language your nervous system uses when it can't keep the mask on any longer. And yet society often teaches us to hide it, to call it overreacting, dramatic, or too much. But you're not too much. You're carrying too much. At the center of it all is your brain's delicate chemistry, a symphony of neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, and GABA. These are not just technical terms. These are the messengers of your mood, your motivation, your joy, your calm. When chronic stress floods your system with cortisol, when trauma keeps your amygdala stuck in survival mode, when inflammation dulls your neural connections, those messengers get lost. They become imbalanced. And your emotional world responds accordingly. One moment you might feel deeply connected to everything sensitive, loving, overwhelmed by beauty or sorrow. The next, you may feel disconnected from it, all cold, flat, detached. That emotional whiplash is not imagined. It's real. It's chemical. It's neurological. It's your brain's attempt to navigate an internal storm while keeping you functional in an external world. But when you don't acknowledge it, when you tell yourself to just get over it, you bury the signals deeper, and they don't disappear. They ferment. They morph. They affect your relationships, your decisions, your sense of self. You may find yourself apologizing constantly for your tone, for your silence, for being too emotional. But your emotions are not enemies. They are protectors. They're trying to process pain that your conscious mind hasn't had the space to unravel. Maybe you've been through things that your body remembers, even if your mind tries to forget loss, betrayal, trauma, neglect, burnout. Emotional triggers are often rooted in old wounds that never fully healed, still bleeding beneath the surface. And it's not always some massive trauma. Sometimes it's the slow, quiet erosion of your inner peace over time. A lack of rest, constant comparison, unspoken expectations. The need to be everything to everyone while leaving no time for yourself. These daily stressors add up like tiny weights on your shoulders, and eventually they break the balance. Your emotional brain starts to lead the way, not because you're broken, but because your logic center is exhausted, depleted, and no longer able to keep the dam from cracking. When this happens, you might notice you can't control your reactions like you used to. You try to breathe to calm yourself, but your heart races. You want to express how you feel, but words get tangled and tears arrive uninvited. You tell yourself you're being crazy or too sensitive, but that shame only deepens the cycle. What you really need in these moments is not correction, but compassion. Healing starts when we stop shaming ourselves for feeling. Your emotions are not wrong. They are not bad. They are sacred indicators that something inside needs care. Just as physical pain demands attention, so does emotional turbulence. Ignoring it, numbing it, or labeling it as weakness only delays the healing. But listening, truly listening, opens the door to transformation. Start by noticing your patterns. When did the mood swing strike? Is it after a poor night's sleep? After skipping a meal? After a tense interaction? Emotional regulation requires awareness of your triggers, your rhythms, your needs. You might find that your body is crying out for hydration, for movement, for stillness, for safety, for truth. Your brain doesn't just run on discipline. It runs on fuel, nutritional, emotional, spiritual. And don't underestimate the role of connection. Isolation can amplify mood swings, turning internal echoes into hurricanes. Reach out. Speak to someone. Let yourself be heard without judgment. Whether it's a friend, therapist, or a support group, human connection helps regulate your emotional nervous system in ways we're only beginning to understand. Your mood doesn't need to be fixed, it needs to be felt in a safe space. There's also profound power in the breath. When you feel like your emotions are taking over, breathe deeper, slower. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6, repeat. It sounds simple, but it's powerful. Deep breathing reactivates the parasympathetic nervous system, gently guiding your brain out of fight or flight and back into balance. It won't solve everything, but it's a start, a lifeline back to center when the storm feels strongest. Remember, your sensitivity is not your curse, it is your gift. Sensitive people feel deeper, love harder, and intuit more. But without boundaries, that gift becomes a burden. You must protect your energy like it's sacred because it is. You are not meant to carry the pain of the world alone. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to put your hand on your heart and say, I matter too. Sometimes emotional dysregulation is also your body's way of asking for help on a deeper level. Don't be afraid to seek medical guidance, get your hormones checked, explore therapeutic options. You are not weak for needing support. You are wise for reaching for it. Healing the brain is not a solo mission, it's a journey of compassion. Curiosity and courage dot, so if you cry more easily than others, if your mood shifts without warning, if you feel like your emotions are louder than your logic, don't hide. Don't shrink. Don't silence the signals. These aren't signs of drama, they are signs of damage that wants to be healed. And healing is not only possible, it's beautiful. It's the slow, sacred return to yourself. The peeling away of the layers you wore to survive. The rediscovery of your power, your peace, your presence. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are a soul that has felt deeply, lived fully, and maybe carried pain longer than you should have. But that stops now. You don't need to keep hiding behind the smile. You don't need to keep pretending everything's fine. It's okay to feel. It's okay to not have it all together. Because from the mess comes the magic, and from the chaos comes your healing. And if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You are doing better than you think. You are worthy of peace and the emotions you feel today. They're not your enemy, they're your invitation to come home to yourself, to listen, to begin again. You used to feel it, that spark, the joy, the purpose, the excitement that lit up your eyes when you talked about the things you loved. Music that once gave you goosebumps, projects that once made time disappear. People, passions, hobbies, everything used to feel alive, like it mattered. But now you wake up and the world feels gray, not terrible, not catastrophic, just flat, colorless. You go through the motions doing what you're supposed to do, smiling when you're supposed to smile, laughing when others laugh, but inside there's a silence, a numbness, a quiet grief for the version of yourself who once felt so much more. This isn't laziness. This isn't just a phase. This is a deep neurological signal that something inside is depleted. When you start losing interest in the things that once made you feel alive, it's not just emotional burnout, it's a biological cry for help. Your brain's reward system, the intricate network responsible for motivation, pleasure, and passion, is dimming. It's not broken, but it's starving. Often misunderstand depression as just overwhelming sadness. But often it's not sadness at all, it's emptiness. It's detachment. It's the absence of joy in places where joy once lived. And when your brain stops responding to what once made you feel good, it's because the chemicals that create that connection, dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, have been drained or disrupted. These aren't just feel-good chemicals. They're your brain's navigational tools. When you accomplish something, when you laugh, when you connect, when you create, they reward you. They reinforce life. They help you feel alive. But when you're constantly under stress, fighting invisible battles, or walking through the long shadow of unresolved pain, those chemicals get depleted. The brain, in survival mode, doesn't prioritize joy. It prioritizes getting through the day. And that's what you start doing too. You stop seeking beauty. You stop chasing dreams. You stop reaching for more. You shrink your life down to what's necessary, what's expected, what's automatic. And slowly, the part of you that used to feel electric begins to dim. You might notice it in little ways. You used to love painting, but now the thought of picking up a brush feels heavy. You used to write poetry, but now the words won't come. You used to meet friends for coffee, but now every invitation feels like a task. The things that once restored you now exhaust you, and you tell yourself to just snap out of it, to get motivated, to try harder. But that only deepens the shame because this isn't something you can force. The truth is, when you lose interest in what once made you come alive, your brain isn't failing, it's fighting. It's conserving energy. It's trying to survive an unseen battle. And while that's deeply frustrating, it's also a message. A survival alarm. Your brain is asking for love, for nutrients, for stillness, for renewal. You were never meant to run on empty. You were never meant to give endlessly without replenishment. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world in silence. And yet, so many of us do. We grind, we push, we power through until something inside us finally whispers, I can't do this anymore. And even then, we don't listen because we've been conditioned to equate rest with weakness, to see emotional struggle as personal failure. But it's not failure. It's physiology. Every human brain has limits. And when your inner world becomes disconnected from the outer one, when your heart no longer finds meaning in what once lit it up, it's not because you're broken, it's because you're burned. And burnout isn't fixed with willpower, it's healed with nourishment. So how do you begin to reclaim that lost part of yourself? How do you find your way back to passion, to purpose, to you? First, you give yourself permission to feel this, all of it. The flatness, the boredom, the indifference. You stop pretending. You stop faking the enthusiasm you no longer feel. You tell the truth. I don't know why I don't care anymore, but I want to care again. That truth alone is sacred. It's the first step toward healing. Then you start to get curious. You look at your life gently without judgment. What has changed? What are you carrying? When did the spark begin to fade? Sometimes the answer is obvious, a loss, a disappointment, a betrayal. Sometimes it's subtle, the slow erosion of joy through chronic stress, poor nutrition, sleepless nights, or a toxic environment. Whatever it is, name it. Because what remains unnamed remains unhealed. Next, you start small. Healing doesn't begin with giant leaps. It begins with gentle steps. Maybe it's sitting in the sun for 5 minutes without your phone. Maybe it's listening to a song you used to love. Maybe it's writing one sentence in a dusty old notebook. You don't need to feel inspired. You just need to show up. And when you do, your brain takes note. It begins to rebuild the connections. It starts to whisper, maybe this still matters. And those whispers, when repeated often enough, become songs again. You also begin to feed your brain literally and emotionally. Nutrient deficiencies can have a devastating impact on mood and motivation. Omega-3s, magnesium, B vitamins, and amino acids play vital roles in neurotransmitter production. When your brain is undernourished, your passion pays the price. Fuel your body like it's the home of your soul, because it is. And don't underestimate the power of silence. When the world gets too loud, your passion gets drowned out. Sometimes you need to step away, unplug, retreat. Not forever, but long enough to hear your own voice again. Long enough to remember what it feels like to be with yourself. And most importantly, you stop waiting for motivation to strike. Motivation is a result, not a requirement. Action, however small, precedes passion. You light a match even when you feel cold. And eventually, the fire comes back. You must also rewrite the story you tell yourself. If you keep saying, I'm just not the same anymore, That becomes your truth. Instead, say, I am in a season of renewal. My spark is resting, but I trust it will return, because it will. Life has a rhythm: expansion, contraction, blooming, resting. Losing interest doesn't mean you've lost yourself. It means your soul is shifting. And shifts are sacred. Speak kindly to yourself. This moment isn't your forever. You're not at the end, you're at a turning point. And somewhere buried beneath the numbness, your passion still lives. It hasn't died, it's hibernating, waiting for the conditions to be safe enough to return. And you are the one who creates those conditions. With rest, with honesty, with gentleness, with love. And when it returns, and it won't be the same. It will be deeper, wiser, more rooted in truth. You'll find joy not just in what you do, but in who you are becoming. Because the spark was never just about the hobby or the habit. It was always about the connection to yourself, to life, to meaning. So if you're walking through a season where everything feels flat, if you've lost interest in the things that once lit up your world, please know this: you're not broken. You're becoming. You're healing in ways you cannot yet see. Trust the process. Nourish your brain. Speak to your heart. Rest without guilt. And most of all, don't give up. Your light is still inside you. And even if it's just a flicker right now, that flicker is enough. Enough to guide you home. Enough to begin again. Your brain isn't broken, it's begging. And the most beautiful part, it can be healed. Neuroplasticity, nutrition, rest, connection. These are not luxuries, they're lifelines. You are not too far gone. You are not beyond saving, but you must act. Your clarity, your peace, your joy, it all starts by listening. So pause, breathe, subscribe, and let's start this journey of healing together. Have you experienced any of these signs yourself or seen them in someone you love? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments. I'm here and I read every one of them.